We did close in full session. We didn't come back. Yep. So we didn't have to make a motion. That's because he woke up, I know we're doing it now. You're so thorough. We're on it, Sam. Oh, gentlemen, ready? I am going to call the Village of Vernon Board meeting to order. It is Thursday, September 21st at 6 o'clock. Would you please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and a moment of silence. My microphone's not working. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Fred, would you please do the roll call and open meeting compliance notice?
President Shu.
I'm here.
Trustee Sawney.
Present.
Trustee Finch.
Here.
Trustee Newman.
Here.
Millies.
Here.
This meeting was noticed and posted according to law.
Fred, I think the microphones need to be turned up just a tad. The next agenda item we have are public comments. Is there anyone here that would like to make a public comment? Anyone here? Sandy, would you like to take a seat? We'll get to you, Mr. Heidemann. Sandy, if you could just for the record state your name and address and then speak into the microphone, please.
Sandy Palicello, West 263, South 7240, Green Mountain Drive. I just wanted to comment regarding the contract with the Sheriff's Department. I understand Big Bend wanting to contract with them, but I don't think it should affect our contract. I'd like to see them continue to use Fire Station Number 1 as their base or substation rather than Big Bend's Police Department. It just puts it out of our municipality, and I don't see why Big Bend's contract should affect ours.
Thank you, Sandy. Yep. Are there any other comments, Mr. Heidemann? Would you like to come up and just state your name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, Bob Heineman, Village Big Bend, W West 230 South 9085.
Big Bend Drive?
Clark Street,
Clark Street. Okay, thank you, sir.
Highway 164. Yeah, I have a comment about the contract how Big Bend went about their closed session, never having any public comment. You know, I don't see how this is not advantageous to the village at all, because we're going to pay half of this bill, and we have 3.2 square miles of area, and 1,400 people, and you guys have 32.7 square miles or whatever it is, and 7,500 people at least, and we're going to pay half of the bill. So it's not, for us, it's not good at all. And I don't know how this can even get to this point without ever having it come in front of citizens of Big Bend. You know? And then no one talks about the revenue. I know Big Bend makes probably around 100,000 a year. I mean, 100,000, yeah, in fines and stuff. And throughout the year, what does the county provide you guys? You know? I just don't think this is a good fit, you know, especially without anybody knowing anything about it, and just the way the meeting was running. And the motion itself, I think is, I don't know how we're motioned. The motion was made to contract with the Vernon for police services. Do you guys have police services? You contract with the county. We're not, how are we getting, you know, how is that motion made that we're gonna contract with Vernon? That's the way the motion read. You know,
Mr. Heineman, I just wanted to let you know, I'm not being rude, but our attorney has warned us that whenever we have public comments, you should speak as much as you want. We're not supposed to interact with you because it's not on.
yeah, I know, I was on a board for
But like I
16
said,
years.
you're-
I know these things.
I just didn't want you to think I was ignoring you.
No, I know. I mean, at least you're looking. We had guys on our board that wouldn't even look up
I'll
from their
look
piece
at you.
of, from their papers or whatever. So.
Well,
I mean,
anything
that's-
else? Anything else? Go ahead, Mr. Heineman.
No, that's about it. I just think it's a really bad idea. And I don't know anybody, I haven't talked to anyone from the Village of Big Bend that's in favor of it. You know, I've heard that some people are, 3 people, but where are they? And I just, that's my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Heineman.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other public comments? Sir, you want to come up, please? And if you wouldn't mind, if you could state your name and address, but just have a seat up here, sir.
My name is Bill Clark. My address is W227S8860, Marianne Avenue, Big Bend, Wisconsin. I'm just here in support for Bob because from what I've seen, and there's been a lot of conversation about it, on keeping you informed in Big Bend. My wife and I were against it. My neighbor's against it. Anybody that I've talked to is against it. And we're not going against it because it's with Vernon. We would like to keep our police department. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments? Are there any other public comments? I'll just note for the record that there are no other public comments. What I'd like to do now is to read the closed session notice. There is a possible closed session in the meeting for the consideration and possible action on a motion to convene into executive session under Wisconsin State Statutes 19.85 paren 1 paren E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties and the investment of public funds, or conducting any other specified public business when other competitive bargaining reasons should require a closed session. The sale of fire equipment, more specifically, the sale of fire department equipment, the Village of Big Bend's request to share Waukesha County contracted services, and the Hein Newman development. In the closed session will be the Village Board of Trustees, the village clerk administrator, the village attorney, the Village of Vernon's fire chief, representatives from the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department. This motion would require a motion and a roll call vote, and no action will be taken in closed session. So at this point in time, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by trustee Jim Sloney. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by trustee Gary Finch. Our clerk administrator, would you please read the roll call vote?
President Chu,
Aye.
Trustee Slaney,
Aye.
Trustee Finch,
Aye.
Trustee Newman,
Aye.
Trustee Millies.
Aye.
So note for the record that there was a unanimous voice vote to go into closed session. And what I'd like to do, as you can see on the agenda, we will go into closed session as I stated and as printed on the agenda. But I don't want to send you outside, so I'd like to ask the board if they would go into the back room with the fire chief, because we need to do Jim, did you say that the board's already made a motion on this previously?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so then
provided
it'd
Maybe
be,
that.
6 months ago or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that?
it was this spring.
Yeah,
For Norris, not
Norris.
for those.
Just for
guys.
Norris, yeah.
Right.
It's already been put.
Yeah, so no action has to be taken on the
so
next one.
I would make a motion to waive the OWI citations into Waukesha County Circuit Court. Is there a second to that motion for discussion?
second.
Second by
You and I are on a roll tonight.
Yeah,
trustee Newman. Discussion, gentlemen. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Board members, the next agenda item we have, it's that time of year again. Brad, does the board have any information
Yeah.
on
I gave him it should have been.
Was that what you handed out here?
the healthcare?
Passed.
It's a,
No?
I apologize. Pass these down. Here.
Oh,
it's that time of year, and I don't know why the state does this, but they give these, the costs out to the municipalities, in September, late in September, and the board has to make a decision by before October 1st, so then Brad can get all the information to the employees so they can make a decision on health care. I think for the last 7 years, Jim, we've had the high deductible health insurance, and you can see even the high deductible, what percentage did it go up, Brad?
15% is what we went up. And so, staff is recommending that we stay with the current plan that we have. We have 2 employees that are currently enrolled out of the 6 eligible employees that are there. As you can see, it did go up. Dean continues to be the lowest. The village pays 85% of the lowest cost plan for single and family. So as you can see on the single, the village will pay $594, or excuse me, $700.52 on the single, and $1,719.57 on the family. So if an employee chooses a plan other than Dean, they have to pick up whatever is there above and beyond the $1,719.57.
So just to clarify, the employer at the 85% for the dean is $1,458.06.
That's
That
for
would
2023.
Okay. Oh wow. Oh my God. It did go up a lot. Wow.
So it's there.
Oh my God.
We'll update the numbers in the budget this week so you can see them in next week's go around what the increase was or how that impacts the budget for us. It's not, there is an impact, but you're looking at on the family side, you're looking at roughly $250 at 12 months. It's about $3,000, $3,500 for us with the 2 that are enrolled, and then and we have one at family, one at single. So there is, and then $100. So you're looking at about $1,500 on the single for the year. So it's not a huge cut. Just to give you guys a perspective, if the state basically has a high deductible plan and then they have a zero deductible plan. The zero deductible plan, the village portion of that would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $2,100 at the family level for that, the village's portion per month per an eligible employee, if that's what was chosen at the family level. So, we are looking at about a $400 or $500 difference right there. So it is significant. We, I think, probably have somewhere around $40,000 or $50,000 in the budget for health insurance, either through the plan or through buyouts. If we had the zero deductible, I think you'd see almost 100% enrollment. It would probably cost us about $130,000 for it. So it is there. The staff's just recommending to stay with what we have unless you guys want something different.
I'll make a motion to follow staff's recommendation.
And is that the P17?
Yes.
Is there a second to that motion?
second.
Second by trustee Solani. Discussion? Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Board members, the next agenda item you're not going to be happy with. Brad and I got a phone call from our engineer this afternoon at, like, say, 12 o'clock. Did you send the email out to them?
No.
Okay, Brad will send an email out to you. What happened is they discovered that when they do these projects, they open themselves up to maps that aren't normally available, but they discovered that we have a star-headed Shriner minnow in the Fox River that was discovered in 2012. It's an endangered species, so it presents a significant change in regards to what they're going to have to do with the project. Also, we have some right-of-way issues that we need to address, but we can't do that because we don't have right-of-way in the areas of the bridge. We also have right-of-way issues in regards to the road also that we have to take care of. And then the utilizing of a causeway so that minnow can get through has to be done. When you get the detailed email in regards to this, I just wanted to let you know that based upon those items, it would move the PS&E to August 1st, 2024, which would allow for a November 12th, 2024, or December 10th, 2024, or January 15th, 2025, all of which allow for the contractor to likely have the existing bridge removed, all the coffdammers and the causeways in the water constructed, and any trees prior to March 1st, 2025, thus eliminating stream restrictions and the need to net the existing structure for migrating birds. This proposed change would move the construction from 2020-24 to 2020-25.
That might not be all bad by itself.
Right,
You know, because all the other construction that's going on, you're not going to be able to get anywhere
right.
in this, you know.
And Brad's going to send out the memo goes into a little bit more detail.
I don't understand why we have to do anything special for the minnow, because the water's just going to go, it's not like
Right.
we're putting a dam in.
The right of way, and you all know that all the villages, or then towns, information on the roads was all burned in a fire. So, like I said, the right of way that we're looking for is Waukesha County and the Bartholomew properties.
So basically, the only part that there is potentially right-of-way is on the northwest side of the bridge, where Waukesha County has that 40-acre parcel. When they surveyed it, there was right-of-way penciled in there. Now, whether the question is whether it was ever accepted or dedicated there, and then all the Bartholomew property, basically from the bridge south to Maple, that they own, there's no right-of-way, platted right-of-way for our road. So we just, as Karen was saying, we need a limited term easement for that. And the issue, the way that kind of works is like adverse possession on eminent domain, where once our environmental's done, then we'll have to go out, get an appraiser and a negotiator. They'll go out and appraise what the easement cost will be. And then from there, there will be a second appraiser who will kind of verify it. We'll send it to the property owner, and this is rough how it kind of goes. The property owner can kind of look at it, say, yeah, I like it, I don't. They can go get an appraiser. If that doesn't work, then we can go get a second appraisal, I believe.
Right.
And then from there, it can average out. If they don't agree with it, then it can go to court, and that's where the issues can come up is if the appraisals aren't that good, or I don't want to say good, but if they're not close, it goes to court, a judge can rule to provide more, and if the amount the judge rules is sufficient, and it's like 115% more or above that, then we're also on the hook for legal fees related to their claim.
And there's a couple things, just so the board knows, Brad and I are going to need to talk to John Macy about a couple issues related to this, and we'll keep you informed in regards to what our village attorney advises.
Okay.
So just so you know, and then Brad will send this email out to the board.
It'll
Jim?
be interesting to see what we end up doing right up there at Bartholomew's farm, where
Right.
the house is. There's not a lot of room in between on either side
So we
of
don't
the
have,
existing road.
we don't
Right.
have to go up that far with this project. Now,
Oh,
that may,
all right, then.
we can have a further discussion about that at
a
another
later time.
because it's not really on here tonight, but that could be a discussion too. Do we want to, as long as we're looking at right-of-way issues for this project, do we want to try to alleviate that issue for the entire length of that road to clean it up? But we can save that for another night, another discussion.
Sound good, gentlemen? Trustee Millies, did you have a question?
No, I was thinking, we just mainly need the right easement to the short area for the.
Yep.
bridge right there,
Yep.
Which is all floodplain, wetland. I mean, there's not much value to that property,
They'll put some value to it.
but it's.
Right.
not like
Is that
it's
county
farmable.
owned?
Yeah, there's
On the
county-owned
north-
land.
On the northwest corner.
Just on the northwest side,
Yep.
but right on the opposite side of the bridge, even though Bartholomew can't farm that, because it's all underwater all
Yeah.
the time.
It's still, they're still own it.
It's still Bob's or,
Yeah, yeah. And Bob, the whole Bartholomew and the Craig's family, the Porters too, that they own all around, they've always been great about doing their setback
Yeah.
requirements for farming, so that's
that's why I
why.
was thinking, if it's mostly Bob's stuff, it won't be
Right.
an issue.
So Brad, do you think we need to add anything else?
No, I mean, and just a reminder, with all the easement stuff is at our cost. It's not part of the grant. But
Right.
remember, we have 100% funding on construction up to what we've been approved for so far. And not to say the funding will run out, but just remember there's a caveat that above and beyond what already has been allocated to us, we may not get if there's stuff there. But so far we've been, good on getting that stuff. So, at least the first 1.6 million of the projects there covered under the grant and hopefully more.
They won't do another study on that Starhead Minnow, make sure it's still.
No, I asked if there were any other, because we have a minnow, we have an endangered species in the Millbrook where Bryce dies. We have an endangered turtle in the Vernon Marsh. So I asked when they opened this report up to see, endangered species, they were pretty confident that there's no other endangered species and we wouldn't have to net for the sparrows like
Yeah.
the county did.
Because that was one of the issues. If the bridge stuff would have went through, we would have.
Just put poison in the,
He's kidding.
It was probably Jim who caught the dang minnow down there. Because they did see that's how they found out it was actually physically caught at the bridge there. That's why it got flagged more so than not. So, but like Karen was saying, if the bridge would have moved forward at the original schedule, we would have had to pay for netting ourselves. We would have been looking to do a contract for that in the next couple months for it. But now, since that's there, that contract can fall under there if it's needed. And things like that, but like Karen said, it's going to create the work that's done on the bridge to take it down and get the coffer dams up to put the new pilings in and get causeways created out to those pilings, is going to be, probably between January and March timeframe of 25. So it is there, so it is going to be one of those things. So now that we got a better idea, Brett and I were going to talk and look at how we want to do the rest of that road down there so that we don't get the road done and then it's impacted by the bridge or damaged by the
Yeah.
bridge, but at the same time, try to limit how much actual disruption there is on to Center Drive, and because that is the only other way to cross the Fox River between here and National, it is an important link, but we got to replace the bridge.
Jim?
if we're not gonna be spending monies on in 24 for the bridge and that road there, is Brett working on road work?
So that's what we're gonna talk. Brett and I, like I said, just briefly talked about it. I mean, one of the options would be is if that work is done in early 25. The question would be, could we go out for bid on that portion of Center Drive and have that work done? This time of year next year, get the base redone, let it settle over winter while they're doing the work, and then come back through and put the final layer of or put the asphalt on after they're done with the bridge, because there's not going to be any traffic cross there while they're doing the bridge except for the construction work, which will give it a good time to settle. Or you could even take it one step further and get the first layer of asphalt on there. If you do run into a spot where there was bad base or something like that, it's easy to come back, rip up that section of base asphalt, get good base back in there, take care of any compaction issues that were there, and then get that final lift on after the bridge is there. But Brett and I will sit down here in the next couple of weeks and kind of hammer that out and look at what's there. And is that, I think, timing-wise and money-wise, as we had our budget meeting earlier this week, there's funds in the budget that we haven't allocated yet that may be available to help with, both projects and not have to borrow, but it's going to be a timing thing. So, and what the final cost of everything is. So, maybe straddling it may be a good thing to help kind of spread that cost out over, 2 years or how it happens. So, but like I said, Brett and I will look at that here in the coming weeks, talk with Andy and come up with a game plan. But if it does come out, we'll look at, is there some smaller projects we can get done next year with what funds we may have available.
Okay.
Further discussion?
So basically, we're just waiting for the spawning of that starheaded minnow to be.
Well, there's things that are going to be done that you'll read in the memo, but we also have to find out too, from our attorney, in regards to land acquisition, that's not free. There's going to be money needed for that also. The appraisers, that's not a cheap
Yeah.
adventure,
Yeah.
but
Because there's, we're looking at 1,500 feet on each side plus the bridge area, so there's going to be some cost. I don't have what limited easements are costing these days, but you have an appraiser, you have that, and that work can't
start until,
till the environmental's done, which is like looking to be January of '24 right now. So it's gonna be one of those things. Once the environmental's done, then we can start hitting that. But that can also throw a wrench if it takes longer than not. But I think we should be able to work with the landowner to progress it so it doesn't stall out.
Has anybody talked to Bartholomew?
we can't.
We've been advised not to.
We can't. Or the county. We can't talk to anybody yet until that environmental. There are certain steps that we have to follow to, so we're going to follow them to the T, right, Brad?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you don't want to end up on the wrong side on
Right.
on
Remember-
kind of eminent domain type case or adverse possession case like this with us, because you can get really slammed bad with penalties that are already listed out in state statutes.
Good, gentlemen? And then, like I said, he's going to forward that email that the
You should
engineer
already have it.
that sent out. And then our next agenda item is Resolution 2023-4, a resolution to accept the public improvements and possible reduction of letter of credit for the Pheasant Run subdivision. You saw Andy Schultz's letter dated September 14th, 2023, and the resolution. Andy also has requested us to reduce the letter of credit to $10,000 until there's a 14-month holdover. And that would be released in December of 2023. So your motion, if you so choose, to approve Resolution 2020-23-4, a resolution to accept final acceptance of public improvements for the Pheasant Run subdivision, and with the understanding that the letter of credit could be reduced to $10,000.
Also move.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Discussion. Brad, did you need to add anything?
No, that's good. Andy covered everything, and
Did our building inspector approve, isn't he the one that has to approve the road?
Andy Schultz, our engineer, is one that has to inspect and improve the improvements, and he's done that inspection and is recommending that we accept the improvements. Most of the paving that was done over there was done 11 months ago. The final lifts were, nothing's come out, everything's in good shape, and so knock on wood, something's not going to come materialize. Now we will have $10,000 up until December to reclaim that, anything there, but at this point. We would start to see stuff that'd be catastrophic or things like that where a road's not good. So I think I agree with Andy's recommendation that reduce letter credit to $10,000 and accept the improvements as in the resolution.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Jim, I'm going to pass this down for you all to sign. Next agenda item is the revised memorandum on legal services. As you can see, there was 2 additions added. The review of amendments or developments on ordinances and resolutions. Board members, is there any discussion or motion or feeling in regards to, do you want all resolutions and ordinances to go to the attorney? Jim, did you want to talk about that?
You said all ordinances, yes. Those are laws. We need to make sure they're legal laws.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
To me, it has to.
I've never seen a resolution. I don't know, Brad, I don't know how you feel, but I always felt really strongly that, not all resolutions, but I sure agree with Jim on ordinances.
Well, ordinances, yeah, to me, I don't think it is
I
questionable.
mean, my practice would be, and I think probably similar to what President Shu had when she was in my position, is ordinances we send to John unless there's something that's, really truly boilerplate we can just put it in, but that's far and few between. Then on the resolutions, as long as it's not, our annual compensation resolution and the regular run-of-the-mill resolutions, I think we're fine. Some of the stuff that maybe is a little bit different, like the comprehensive plan resolution, that has to be approved by the plan commission prior to the village board taking action on it. That kind of stuff I think is good for John to look at there. But to me, probably 90% of the resolutions we can handle in-house. And then would recommend that, we send out 100% of our ordinances to John.
So we just change the wording of resolutions to as needed?
As directed by the village board, that would be my motion, is to add the review of amendments or the development of an ordinance to be something that John reviews at all times. And then the review and amendments, review and development of resolutions as directed by the village board. Is there a motion to accept those changes?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Oops.
Second.
Discussion, gentlemen. Discussion? Oh, Jim?
Did you add the contracts as directed?
Yep, that's already on there.
That's already,
Yep.
I mean, I saw it once before, but I
Yep.
didn't know if we needed.
Yeah, we just, yeah. Further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carried. Does anybody, I'll go first, but is there any board member that wanted to do their announcements, reports, or anybody? Okay. Okay, well then what I'm going to do is, as you know, the item number one, there's a 2020-24 ERU stormwater letter that has to be on file on October 1st, 2023. I would like to establish a rate of $23 per ERU for the 2020-24 stormwater fee charge. Is there a,
wasn't it like 21 or something?
it's been 23 for like the last 3 years.
23? Mm-hmm. I don't remember that. I remember 21. But. Okay, fine.
So I would need a motion to that effect. I don't need a motion, but I'd like a motion.
I'll do a motion.
Okay, I have a motion by trustee Finch. Is there a second to that motion? Trustee Newman.
Everybody's always jumping in, all of a sudden they go.
Discussion?
What determines the amount?
The ERU is a non-pervious soil related to a property.
I mean, if we had it at 22 versus 23, to come up short money for county? Or-
Yeah, you'd come up short on your stormwater. And we use that stormwater budget, for all of our ditching projects, our professional, we use it a lot, So it is,
It'd be about $90,000.
yeah, it was 89,000 something last year. But if we didn't have that, it would just go in the budget. So it's just based upon, and there's nobody exempt. All of our tax exempt properties, the schools, the churches, everybody gets that stormwater charge because, and if there's ever a question, we can always reevaluate. But that stormwater charge was established by our engineers previously, so.
I remember those years, so there's a lot of culvert work, we needed it, or other years, well, it wasn't as bad, so I didn't know.
Right.
Every other year we have to do a
MS.
submit a large report. So 24 will be a year where we have to do one.
You will have to do it. I did it. It's
just
part of your job.
I just don't want to hire than it needs to be.
Yeah. I mean, if we ever got in a place where we had a big contingency, but Brad's right. I mean, there's times where we've purchased culverts, at a good price because we know we're going to need them for a future
Yeah,
project
I
or.
mean, I know we don't want to sound like we want to bring in more money with it, but some communities do use it advantageously to also help finance equipment, which this community doesn't, but it's another, as we always look for more revenue, it's a way to bring in more revenue. So, you increase it $1, you're going to bring in another $4,000
Right.
in stuff. So it's not a huge moneymaker, but like I said, when you're talking about how do we continue to provide the same equipment, provide the same service, and have the proper equipment this budget gets tight, it could look at that, but we're in a good spot right now where 23 is good.
It's just one of those taxes I'm not in favor of.
Fee. It's a fee. It is like a tax, but it is a fee.
Well, and I should say that, oh my God, I think it was 2 boards ago, they went to DNR to see if we could be released from the stormwater. The DNR just enforces it from the EPA, and there's no way. With the river, the Fox River, and all the streams we have in Vernon, there's no way we'll ever get out of it, so, sorry. Further discussion from the board. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Just want to announce we're having a public hearing October 11th, 2023 at 6 p.m. for the amendments on the R3 zoning related to the Hein development. I don't know if the board has yeah, they did. Sean did some tweaking to our R3 so he didn't have to do a whole new zoning code for properties that would get sewer and water. And the only properties we're talking about is the Hein Newman development. If that goes through, I shouldn't say that because it's not predicated on that developer. That zoning amendment would apply to anybody that does a development on that particular property. I just wanted to remind the board also that in the village of Mugwanago, their whole board made it perfectly clear they don't want to supply sewer water anywhere else in Vernon except for this development. So I just wanted to let you know, but that's all I'm doing is just announcing to the public that, Brad, is that on the website yet or not yet?
No, it will, the notices for that will go out, well, they won't have to go out, but they'll run in the newspaper next week, Wednesday, and the following Wednesday, and then we'll have it on the the website, at least by next Wednesday, probably earlier in the week, so.
And if people don't have a computer, they can come down and take, Brad will have it posted so they can see the revisions, So I just wanted to make that announcement. And also, open book, our Board of Review closed on Monday. And the assessor did the Brandon Arusha, the assessor that came, I don't know, he did a great job winging all those properties. But as the board all knows that we're at 100%, they visited 490 parcels. They reviewed 138 permits, 195 sales, 92 residential properties. We have a residential value of over 9 million and commercial over 2 million. We have, let's see, I'm just trying to think what else. I just wanted the board to know, I did talk to Dana, our representative from Accurate, to tell her, I know Brad told me, the staff told me, I know how many phone calls I got. I know board members got a lot of phone calls that people were not happy with the callback. They've done some significant changes in their phone calling and emailing service. Fortunately, we don't have a reval next year, so it should be a completely different year than this year. But I just wanted to, let the board members know and thank the board members because all the board members here and Brad served on Board of Review, and just want to thank you all. The next item I have is I know we had about 17 residents come to the DOT surfacing meeting on the 19th, and Trustee Newman and Trustee Millies were there. I left the room, so we didn't have a violate the quorum, but that was a really good meeting. A lot of the residents felt really good. These were people that actually live on the 164, and there was a lot of question asking the board to do something about the speed limit, which we have nothing to do with that speed limit and dangerous areas, but I let them know who they should write. The other issue, Brad informed me that the Mugwanago School District let Brad know recently that we can't use the schools for voting. Didn't give him any notice and nothing whatsoever. And I called the clerk in Mugwanago to ask if the school board kicked them out of their school. And they just learned that the same thing happened to them. So on the next board agenda, at our next board meeting on the 5th, I'd like to ask the board if they would like to attend the committee of the whole of the school board on the 9th of October to ask them if they could give us at least a year. Next year is our presidential. And you guys know how how significant, and I wouldn't want Brad to go through what I went through for our last presidential. It's doable, but it's an absolute nightmare. I mean, and I personally wouldn't want to dump that on anybody. So like I said, we'll put it on the agenda so we can talk about it at our October 5th meeting. But I was going to talk to a couple of school board members myself, but the Town of McGuanago board wants our board and their board to come together to talk to the school board members at their committee of the whole. So if you could just, keep that in mind, save that date. And then, board members, if you could also keep, I know Brad, did you send out a memo yet on October 3rd? Brad is going to send a memo out to the board for October 3rd. I know board members have been asking about where's Keller Builders. And we're at a point now where we need the board to come and talk to the board on October 3rd at 1 o'clock. So if you could save that date. And then lastly, the Public Service Commission is doing, comments on the broadband. And I have to go to this because I have been trying to write a grant for all of our rural areas. Half the town doesn't have cable service. So I'm going to have Brad send that on to you so you can see it also. But these grants for that broadband stuff are so competitive. But I just wanted to, I'll have Brad send that out to you so you're aware of that also. And I think that's all I have. That's all I have. Jim, you're on.
Gee, thanks. Municipal court, Unicourt, right? I just want to make sure. I don't know how much you guys know about how this municipal court works. The reason we got into it in the first place was we get money back from the municipal court. We get nothing back from Waukesha. When you send them to Waukesha, that's it. We don't get anything at all back. So in one respect, it's a monetary thing that we do. One of the main reasons we're doing it. The judge, I think, is going to be up for election this next election period. So all 5 communities that are in this thing will get to vote for the judge. I don't know if our current judge is going to run again or not. He hasn't announced that, but I know his time is coming up. What about the only thing of interest that the previous board was interested in was what does it cost us? We get money back, what does it cost us, okay? I don't have copies of all this stuff at this point, but if you want copies, we can get some made. Or I can email that stuff to you too, whatever you want. But the way it works, we got Town of Eagle, Village of Eagle, Town of McGuanago, obviously North Village of North Prairie, and us in this municipal court, always held in North Prairie's courtroom. Last year we wrote 1,393 citations between all 5. And I have here the numbers, each community. So we actually pay based on the number of citations we run last year. Okay? So if our citations go up this year, our cost is going to stay the same. Next year, it'll go up accordingly. And all it is that you take what percentage of, here, you can maybe pass that one, I need it back again, so you can
Can you make copies, Brad?
determine the percentage of citations that, like Vernon does for all of them, and I think it's 106 citations out of the 1,300. So our percentage is what, 4% or something like that. And then that on the right-hand side, on the far right side, is the amount that we would end up paying to run it for the year. That includes, obviously, all the things that are listed on the bottom there, the salaries of the clerks and the judge, et cetera. Nobody ever has had to pay in addition. Okay. Now, when we start out at the beginning of the year, they don't have a big pot of money from, right? So we're in the negative. Well, they keep track of that. Where'd it go? Is it on here? No. They keep track of that on a monthly basis. One of these is monthly reports. So obviously, in the beginning of the year, we don't necessarily get a check because we owe them money. But as our funds come in, every month, it gets incremented, and eventually, all our payment is already due, and then therefore, anything after that should come back to us. Now, what I just learned, I thought this was being done maybe on a quarterly basis. By the end of the first quarter, we're usually on the plus side anyhow. But this, which I just got from this month, this report, and I pulled all the reports for the whole year while I was doing this so I could get caught up, is based on monthly. Now, I asked about that. I haven't heard of our getting payments on a monthly basis. Obviously, the first month it ain't gonna, make any difference because we're not gonna get anything. But, so I'm gonna be giving this stuff to Brad so that he can track down to make sure that we've actually gotten this money so far to date, or is it something that I have to go back and check with the court clerk who actually doing, well, right now, the lady that replaced Rhoda?
I don't know her name, no.
Yeah, I did it offhand, but Rhoda's going to retire at the end of the year. She's been out because of health reasons and the like. And so you've already got the gal to replace Rhoda with, and so that's who I met, and she gave me this stuff at our last meeting, which was in August. And usually that's all we have, is one meeting a year. Now, when I was the representative for Vernon, when we went to join, it was like probably 5 or 6 weeks, 5 or 6 meetings over a period of 6 or 7 weeks. It was like every, Thursday night I was going up there. But everybody ends up way in the plus at the end of the year.
Yeah, okay.
So we're at least making money on it that we otherwise get nothing from. And it's hard to, like the first year or two, I was only guessing. I swear to God, I guessed at 100 citations a year when we joined, not having a clue how many we wrote, because we hadn't started doing that, and we didn't have that handy dandy report that they get. So that's been working out.
So once we cover the 25, 48, 46,
Yep,
then we're off and
Then we're-
running. We're off and running.
right, then we're making money after that.
So do we know how much it's gonna bring in this year?
No,
We don't know.
because it's based on how many citations they actually write,
And
you
you don't always collect right away on what you write.
Yeah, so far we collected, Jim, I'm gonna give you these reports. So far this year is $2,529.28. Last year was $10,118.99.
After expenses?
No, that's
No,
what they,
that's what they paid us.
That's what they paid us,
After we cover these expenses?
right, and then Jim, I'm gonna give you these reports so you can look at what they told you. And then, do you think we should put the monthly report on, the court reports on our agendas? Or what do you think?
Well, I don't think there's not really much to report on a monthly basis.
Right.
And what it looks like is we don't get anything. We don't even have any report in the first, well, in fact, now from that number you just said, we just broke even. So anything after that they collect, we should be getting,
Right.
So maybe that's why they you know.
Right.
But I just wasn't convinced. The reason I started getting, I wasn't convinced we were getting our money back, you know? And so trying to find, you know, some evidence of what they say they're paying us back. Now, I've already tried to relate that to, I know how many citations went to them, but that doesn't mean that they're even exercised. The judge has authority to just say, don't do it again. And there's no revenue, but there's no cost to it, you know. He can settle for less than what our normal price would be,
Yeah,
you know, if he feels it's justified.
yep.
And that's the part, so, oh, okay, I don't have any way of knowing what to really expect. You know, it's not like if it's $100 ticket, it's not $100 that went in the kitty necessarily.
Right.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, it always seems like they're more willing to knock down the points of the violation versus the dollar amount,
yeah,
and where that stays the same.
It
So-
kind of gives me a feeling of how much, you know, we got that, you talked about the one cost of, it shows me kind of what kind of money's coming in to help cover some of that.
right. I don't see
We're not gonna.
our
cover
being
all-
able to make a lot of money
No.
off of this deal. We're not pushing for the officers to be stopping everybody, you know.
Oh, no, all right.
And we're really only looking, in this process, we're really only looking at the municipal tickets, you know. All the rest of the stuff that still has to go to Waukesha, you know.
Yep.
And that's the part you can't easily tell whether that was a municipal issue or a circuit court issue.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So basically, all the municipal tickets are maybe like speeding, traffic violations.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Except, yeah, I mean, they're low, low, initial tickets are low fines. And we consider, I think might have some control of what our fines are,
Your bond.
the bond amounts, but also you have to remember, any of our municipal citations related to zoning stuff, you know, initially it's gonna go to muni court. And those can, you know, $100 a day. So it does start to add up when
But-
somebody.
Like that $98,000 one that we haven't settled on. It'd be a nice piece of the pie. But I don't think we're ever gonna see that, but that's just,
No, I don't think so.
Anything else, Jim, to report?
I don't know, it's just what questions you might have.
And this is on the agenda.
We're gonna hold the court, is it once a month?
Yes,
Yeah, Wednesday, starting like at 4 o'clock, I think it is.
right. Sometimes they move because of a holiday, but it's always
Yeah.
a set time.
And one of these guys, although they're paying their fair share based on the number of citations, they don't use our judge. They have their own guy that they bring in, and the judge is doing his thing in the courtroom, and this guy will be in one of the conference rooms back there,
Working a deal.
working a deal with them. Everybody starts up in the conference room, and they work a deal with our, who?
Christopher Schultz?
Yeah, the attorney. And a lot of times they don't even they don't even go to the judge. He settles whatever, he might give them a price break, he might, you know, type of thing. And they're out the door. So we'll get somebody, but I don't know, ever know how much it's gonna be until after it's a done deal. And then that's where the rubber meets the road. Once it's a done deal on their end, it goes through this process, say the guy doesn't pay right then and there. Well, that might drag on for years. They have some on the books that are multiple years old. Just like, well, we probably have that on our stuff too, and, you know, where people just don't pay you. Eventually, they go to the state, whatever,
Debt collection.
pardon?
That
Yeah.
state debt collection.
Debt collection. We may or may not, get it, but North Prairie loses track of it once it goes to the state.
Yeah.
because their software doesn't talk to anybody else's in the world. They got some really old tracking software. They tried to put it into this year's budget at our budget meeting in August, and we all said no. Because they were talking this whole spiel on what software they wanted to buy, and it was an additional, where the hell did it go? I'm gonna say it was an additional $30,000.
Oh.
Now, that's like damn near the budget to run the whole thing, right?
35,000 to run the whole thing and $30,000
For the software. Now, it'll talk to everybody in the world, right down to the sheriff's car, to the state. Great stuff. A lot of the municipalities are using it. But we had so many questions that there was nobody to answer for. You know, there was nobody there to answer any questions about it. Even the clerk that put in the request didn't show up at the meeting.
Oh.
So we said, oh, screw that, we're not gonna do it. But in all likelihood, we will have it in next year's budget.
Okay.
So our costs are probably gonna double for that year. Now, I don't know how we, you know, we might spread that over multiple years. You know, that I don't know. But I just give you a heads up that this tracking, tips software is gonna be, this is all the information we had.
$30,000.
But for 30 grand, we had too many questions, so that didn't get passed through.
I can see why.
But it is something, I think we all on the board agreed that it's something they should have. But we don't know enough of the details to,
Can use a simpler
yeah.
deal.
That said, the only other thing I had is October is going to be a tough month for me. That's when I'm having, I think the first operation is October 9th, if that's a Tuesday. And then it'll be 2 weeks more and I'll have another one, they do one eye and then the other eye. And they're doing both the cataracts and the glaucoma surgery at the same time. So hopefully by the end, I won't have to wear glasses.
Wow. Well, Godspeed, Jim.
I had that one corrected.
Yeah.
Now I'm down to wearing old reading glasses that are 2.0s, not
Oh,
3.0s.
gentlemen, we're out of order here. Jim, any other announcements or
I'm
reports?
done.
Can I ask you a
Trustee?
question about?
The courts, yes.
Yeah. Are we under contract with North Prairie for doing it for so many years, or what's?
Yeah, until we get out. It's a perpetual.
I mean, is it a yearly contract that we are with them, or is it just?
No, it just is a perpetual contract,
Just keeps renewing?
and we have to give like a year notice that we want to get out.
Okay.
We had to do, first we had to do, not the resolution, there was something before the resolution.
We had to petition the court to allow us to come in, and they went back to their municipal boards and asked permission, and
And then we had to do a resolution,
So is it
and
your
then we had to do an
process
ordinance. So it's pretty well documented, and they're all, on the records. I actually have copies of it here, or a copy of it here. But we have to give them a year notice to get out. The town of Waukesha was in it at one time, and they got out like a year before we joined. So they've always had the 5 communities. And there was some other town that was recently talking about joining in as well. I think it was west of here, though. The more municipalities we get in, the lower our,
Cost, yeah.
yeah.
thank you, Jim, and good luck on your surgery, Jim. Trustee Finch, any announcements, Reports, nothing at this time?
Nothing at this time.
Trustee Newman? Nothing at this time. Trustee Millies? Okay. Gentlemen, I just want to pass, one thing I forgot, and I'm not going to talk, just going to pass this out so you have this, because Jim, I know you're not going to be at the finance meeting, but I just wanted you to see, Brad, I'm going to give you one that you could put in the packet later. This is our last treasury report, and I wanted you to have it only because it shows that $500,000 being taken out of some of our money that we bonded for. But then I just finally logged into that American Deposit, and I just wanted you to, I ran the reports of what's in there and who, just so that you have it. And I wanted you to put it in your finance packet, but it's not on the agenda for discussion, but I just wanted you to have that information. So the next agenda item we have is Brad. What is your report, Brad?
Nothing to report.
Oh, but he has been busy.
We've covered it all, busy on the audit, and everything else has been covered. Just so you guys know, tomorrow, those will all be closed for 3 or 4 hours. We're going to an elections training.
Yes, and these,
Everybody?
yeah, all the
myself,
staff.
Bill, and Sue will be there.
And Brad's going to put signage on the door, and then if he, yeah, he's going to sign, so, not this kind of sign, a sign. Let's see, so next agenda item, gentlemen, is, in your package, you saw the Sheriff's Department report. He gave us August and July, because there was a typo in there, and then you saw the Sheriff's August report, and then you saw the yearly reports from the Sheriff's Department. So with that, Jim?
You said in the packet. I went in today again, and there was no packet. The AP one was there. That had,
It was
the invoices.
below the.
3 down.
Yeah, it was 3 down.
well, it wasn't on the top of the list.
No, it took me 3 tries to figure out where is it
well,
showing up? Yeah, I get the APs.
I didn't get that far. I only look at the top of the list.
Yeah. So, I mean, but they are there, and that was nice to see that, those yearly reports from the Sheriff's Department, what's happening there. So, gentlemen, if you don't mind, we're going to jump right into the accounts payable. Oh, and I did get Brad, I got to send that to you. It is an invoice from Payne and Dolan that says Payne and Dolan on it, not that handwritten Payne and Dolan. I'll have Brad send that to you so you can actually see that we have an invoice. It doesn't show that credit, but it shows the invoice for the 400 and then that $438.92. And then in the package you saw a credit, and you'll see the email from this Susan saying the amount is the 300, because I know our previous auditor, if we ever approved a bill that didn't have letterhead on it, he said don't pay it. So I just wanted, the only reason I did that is because I had Brad working on 16 other things. So that's why Brad did, but I'm going to send it to Brad and then he'll send it to you. Does that sound good, gentlemen? Mm-hmm. And then Brad, you said you're going to take off the tax on the Vistaprint and you're going to take out the $679. So I just wanted to let the board know that we're looking at an accounts payable amount of $129,778.70, taking out the duplicate $679 and the tax of $732.
Yeah, I saw the text.
I knew you guys would. And I am going to clarify for Brad, because they always did the fire department for free, when then they realized that the driver was turning around and picking up their garbage. But I'll get that information.
Yeah, but you see it had fire department listed, but the charge was actually listed under Village Hall on the second page.
Yeah, but I want to make sure we're not paying for the fire departments, because we pay, in our contract, we got, I'll get that for you. I mean, we definitely got to pay that bill.
Yeah. That's
So
what
I have no qualms on the bill. I just wanted to make sure what's happening, and I know you guys want to make sure too, so.
I did notice that the fire department had a big percentage of the invoices this month.
Yes, yep. And then the staff got I did have some questions, and Brad got all that information. And Brad, you copied the board on.
Yeah, so we'll if you guys are okay, and just you probably mention your motion, the Securian and the
R&R.
R&R workers' comp. We'll just revoid those checks, avoid them, and then we'll reissue them. We'll just give them out how they're shown in the packet I sent this afternoon, where R&R is divvied out based upon last year's workers' comp audit and what the actual wages were. So it's broken out that way, and then Kieran's just broken out there. Karen asked me earlier, as I told her, because her comment was, how come we didn't break it out by department? The workforce software automatically pulls the life insurance deductions for the employee and the employer out of the payroll and puts it into a payables account, and then when we pay that check, it just comes out of payables account.
So I'll make a motion to approve accounts payable in the amount of $129,778.70. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Excuse me, Jim, with the understanding that Brad's going to make those changes to those two bills. Is that any objection, Jim? All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have no manual checks, right, Brad?
No.
Okay. And then financial reports, Brad is working on, we're going to run June for you. We got a couple journal entries that we're going to do, so we're going to rerun June, and then Brad is working on with Workhorse to get Workhorse up so that we'll see those reports soon, right, Brad?
Yeah, you'll have them by the next meeting, for sure, if not sooner.
And the unfortunate, our audit's probably not going to be done till October,
We'll have numbers in October.
maybe November, depending on how busy she is. I know.
Said we should have some numbers in October.
Brad, and then that's what Brad has been working on, is trying to get all that stuff to Karen. And then she's working on some significant reports she has on her end, and we did tell her that next year won't be anything like this year. Right, Brad?
Right, because we're going to finish this audit, we're going to start right on the next one anyway. We're not.
Yeah, and messing around. I mean, we're still going to do it at the cheaper time of year, but we won't be in the same boat as we are now. So with that, we are going on to board minutes. We're on July 20th, 2023. I'll make a motion to approve the July 20th, 2023 village board minutes. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Discussion from the board? Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. July 28th, this was a Zoom, was this a Zoom? Oh, no, I know.
The 26th and August 21st and 28th in there.
I have the 28th in mind,
The
July.
28th were in there and the 7th.
Yeah, so I would make a motion to approve the August 28th, 2023, 1 PM board meeting. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Finch. Discussion.
That was the Zoom meeting, right?
This was, yes. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Brad, did you, the 7th, we're not ready on?
Oh, they were those were the ones on the table.
Oh, okay. I'll make a motion to approve the September 7th with the closed session, the adjournment being done in closed session, so there's not that final. Is there a second to that
Second.
motion? Second by trustee Solani. Discussion? Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Just want to announce that we have village board meetings on the 5th and the 19th are normal ones. We also have a village plan commission and board, Brad, on the October 11th
Yes.
combined meeting. And then we have budget workshops. We have one this coming Wednesday, but then we also have October 4th, 12th, 18th, and 25th. At this point in time, I would ask for a motion to reconvene in closed session as stated by the chair and printed, stated by the president, and printed on the agenda. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a, Brad, can you read the roll call?
President Shu?
Yes, aye.
President Trustee, or Trustee Solani?
I've been called a lot of things. Aye.
Trustee Finch?
Aye.
Trustee Newman? Trustee Millies?
Aye.
All right, gentlemen, we are in closed session. Sorry, sir.
Can I ask a really quick question?
Sure.
Unfortunately, the audio cut out when you were in your last closed session, so I wasn't able to hear what your motion, I'm with the newspaper.
Oh, we made a motion to table the sheriff's contract till October 19th. We just needed some additional information.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
October 19th, you said?
Yes, not our next village board meeting, but the second.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Well, should we go close the door, guys?